What's up YouTube? Today we are making Lahmacun, a really thin pizza with a layer of bell pepper, tomato, onions and minced meat, and a can of tomato paste. I'm also using some basic seasoning with onion powder, garlic powder, chili flakes and parsley with some oregano. And yeah, of course, the knife. I'm also using the Ninja blender today. If you don't have a blender, then just use your knife for everything. Let's start with cutting our bell peppers. You can optionally smoke or char them a bit to release even more flavor. The most easiest way of doing this is by open fire, the barbecue, or using an oven or air fryer. Next ingredients are some onions and tomatoes. Since we're using a blender, there is no need to slice these ingredients really small. It's okay to have some bigger chunks, as long as they fit in your blender of course. If you don't have a blender, then please slice them very thinly so that all the juice is coming out and it becomes one big mess basically. Now that we have most ingredients ready and prepped, it is time to mince the meat even further. If you have a meat grinder, great. And if you don't, then use your knife. The first step is to make one big layer of your meat and run your knife through it. Then repeat this process over and over until we reach our desired consistency. Now it is time to blend our tomato, onion and bell pepper into this juicy kind of paste. I lightly smoke the bell peppers in the air fryer to release even more flavor. This step is optional. After blending, it should look something like this. Now it is time to put everything into one bowl, and we are going for a second round of our juicy mixture. For now, I put aside and I first add my seasonings. Let's add some chopped dried parsley. You can use fresh parsley as well, no problem at all. Then add some oregano, some chili flakes and also the garlic powder and last but not least the onion powder. Now that we have added our seasoning, it is time to get our hands dirty. You can also use a fork or a spoon as I do here. Mix everything together and slowly add more of the juicy mixture. Make sure it remains a thick consistency and that it doesn't become too juicy and watery. Now it should really smell like Lahmacun. You can optionally fine-tune the seasoning by adding a bit more here and there. I don't use standard measurements, but I go with my gut feeling and smell, and optionally taste in between when possible. Our final mixture should look something like this. Now let's add some salt to this mixture, together with some tomato paste. I'm using muti tomato paste here. It adds a little bit of sweetness. Make sure to use high quality ingredients, otherwise things become really sour. Let's cover this with some foil and put aside in the fridge. Now it is time to make our dough. If you prefer store-bought dough, that's also fine. We need some all-purpose flour, some warm water, yeast, salt and of course a bowl and a scale. Put 500 grams of flour into the bowl and add your yeast. Next, add your water, about 250 to 300 milliliters. It is up to you what your ideal hydration level is. I did 300 milliliters in this case. This is perfectly fine. Let's add some salt and start mixing this together. You can use your hands or a fork. Add some more water when the dough is really dry after kneading it for a while. Or add some flour when the dough is really sticky and wet. Make sure to do this in really small amounts. Our dough should look something like this. Let's put the dough in a dough crate or a bowl, so that the yeast can do its thing. Put some flour in the bowl or crate to prevent sticking. After resting for about 1 to 2 hours, it should look something like this. Now it is time to make it to smaller balls for one final rest. The size all depends on your preferences. I'm going for an average size pizza here, so slightly smaller than a tennis ball. It should easily fit in your hand. Feel free to test a few different sizes until the final product reaches your satisfaction. In total I made 7 dough balls with 500 grams of all-purpose flour. Probably I could have made 8 smaller ones or 6 bigger ones, but to me that doesn't really matter that much for now. Let's cover our crate for one final rest. In about 2 hours my pizza dough is ready. If you prefer longer or shorter amount of resting time, feel free to do so. You can also let the dough rest outside the fridge for a quicker resting time. I'm using a pin roll to flatten out our dough, and I'm using some corn flour to prevent sticking it on my pizza launcher for later. Make sure to check the consistency of your meat paste as well. There could be a lot of moisture in there. Make sure to mix everything again for one final time. Let's take our dough ball and start shaping our pizza. I lightly dust my pizza peel as said a second ago, so the dough doesn't stick. Let's add our paste and spread evenly. There is no need to create a really thick layer, so be careful with that. The thicker your layer becomes, the less crunchy it will be, and it also will be harder to launch your pizza correctly. Let's transfer the pizza to our peel. And be careful that it doesn't break here. In the meantime, our ooni pizza oven has been preheating to ripping hot temperatures. If you don't have a pizza oven, just simply use your regular oven and put it on 200 to 250 degrees Celsius. Optionally, use a pizza stone or a pizza steel and wait a few minutes until the pizza is ready. You can also optionally put some cheese on top that melts while it's cooking. Our final product should look something like this, and let me tell you, it smells amazing. Add our final toppings, which are some shredded lettuce, cucumber, some garlic sauce, tomatoes and your favorite hot sauce. And this is how you make a lahmacun. When you make bigger batches, you can easily store them in the fridge or freezer for later consumption. Enjoy!